Hi, I'm Rob and welcome to another TW White & Son video review. Today's vehicle is a Mazda 2 hybrid Homura in Sonic Silver. So it's a one owner car, very low mileage in this vehicle, so it's basically a demonstration vehicle. With the Homura spec, it's more sporting than the exclusive line or the centre line below. So you have gloss black 17-inch alloy wheels which accompany the gloss black door mirrors, the privacy glass of course, and that darkened lenses on the rear light clusters, complemented by the rear splitter at the bottom there. You have a rear camera as we walk past the car on the bottom of the tailgate aperture there, and of course parking sensors front and rear. As you come round to the side, you'll also note the vehicle has keyless entry, so you don't need the key to actually operate the vehicle. You can pull the handle, enter the vehicle, lock yourself up when you're done, and that will allow the car to be keylessly functioned, including a stop-start button inside the vehicle. Of course, the car's pristine. It's several hundred miles only, so there's nothing to report as regards to condition, other than it being excellent. So, as you make your way around to the back of the two hybrids, there is a touchpad just under the badge. This is how you enter the car. Then you're presented with a nice, deep but well-shaped boot there. So typically, like most modern cars, there is no spare wheel kit, but there is a foam and a compressor unit for you to reinflate a traditional puncture hole-in tyre. Of course, Mazda provide 3 years of roadside assistance, so you may rely upon that to rescue and recover you. The seats tumble down easily. You'll find 2 levers just at the top of each seat. Just push forwards by hand and they drop down nice and easy, very lightweight, and again expanding your boot space, and of course the parcel shelf can be removed. So, pulling the handle down, closing the boot up, walk around to the back of the car, and then you're presented with the seats in the seats down position. Let's pop them back up. Same with this one, and up it goes. So you're then presented with 3 3-point belts and Isofix on the 2 outer seat bases, again for children's safety seats to be securely put into the vehicle. Otherwise 3 3-point belts, they're for a 5-seat vehicle. We mentioned this before, but you've got keyless entry. You can do that on both sides of the car. If it's visible, you'll also note a blind spot indication system just here, and that's designed to flash at you to alert you to vehicles coming up behind you in your near side, offside blind spots. Saves you a lane change crunch effectively. Okay, as we jump in, we're on the door presented with the main features controls for adjusting the actual windows and mirrors, including a power fold function, which again links to locking the car, but you can choose to do so at any time you wish. Coming down, 2 more switches. One is a high beam function, which by popping on means that when the car detects there's no oncoming traffic and it's dark enough for the lights to come on automatically, it will indeed ping your lights to full beam and then drop them as it detects cars coming back towards you, or highly reflective street lights and street signage, or just an urban environment with more street light. When you're inside the car though, you're presented with a partial digital display with analog for your water temperature on the rad and fuel gauge, and then you have a digital display right in front of you. This can show different views. It can be configured to show you things around the ratio of driving your EV. So I guess fundamentally, being a self-charging hybrid, when you de-accelerate or hit the foot brake, it will add energy back in, and of course as soon as the car doesn't need throttle, it can drop into EV mode down a slight steep slope. It will again drop into EV mode, so it aspires to get into EV as soon as it possibly can. We've run these cars as demos and they typically achieve between 75 and 85 to the gallon used in that fashion, so really good economy. Again, more info to display. So this one's showing an average of 41.2. It's not a representative mileage because it's only based on the last 263 miles, so that will resolve if the car's used regularly. Then you can show your sort of eco driving score. Effectively, this would give you a little tutorial on how well you're braking, de-accelerating, cruising, gives you something to measure yourself against and aspire to make better. So yeah, lots of nice info there. You can also cycle through other things, which will tell you things like fuel low. You can turn on and off various things around the lane departure, adaptive cruise control, increase the brightness of the dash display. Lots of options sitting in that side of it. Again, you can just cycle through those. Back in again. Again, there's more information around tripometer. So there's a rolling trip there. Which audio sounds you're choosing. And then of course the adaptive cruise mode, which will show you the ability to add or decrease different time gaps, starting with half a second, working your way up to 2 seconds. And it will include braking the car to a physical halt. We've also got adaptive cruise, standard cruise, which would therefore not allow the car to brake for you. You would have to be on top of that one. And a speed limiter, again, actioning the speed limiter will save you overspeeding in low speed urban environments like the 20 and 30 zones that are very prevalent nowadays. So yeah, lots of good stuff, all on the digital display. Of course, you have a big tablet display as well. With things like satellite navigation, this is a Homura, so it relies upon your smartphone, Apple or Android, and uses your mapping from there to give you your navigation. The Homura Plus, which this one isn't unfortunately, has its own inbuilt nav as well as Android and Apple CarPlay. You have a reverse camera, so simply pop it into reverse gear at any speed at any time that you can. Shows the image behind, and of course it's a bit far away from the cars here, so it won't have engaged the sensors at this stage, but it will beep you back to within 30 centimeters, so easy to park. Has an automatic braking function. If you get very close to a vehicle, front or rear, it will autonomously brake the car and you'll miss the vehicle in front, so quite useful. Digital climate control, it's left and right sided, so you can either have a split across the vehicle or use the dual function, and it will then marry up to the driver's preference, which is controlled from this side. Easy to use though, you can find and identify easy ways to blow air around different parts of the cabin, the fan controller as well, and even heats your rear window and your mirrors together. You have 2 micro USB-Cs, the newer style, but of course if your phone is capable of it, from a Homura and above you have a wireless charging pad. So you'd pop your phone in there, it would then inductively draw some current and keep your phone charged, but also it's wirelessly connecting for Apple and Android CarPlay. Oh, let's pop it back into P, there we go. So yeah, wirelessly connects to these two, no cables required. And then down into a more function button. So we have an electronic parking brake with a hold function, again quite common on modern cars these days, and then we have different driving modes. So the drive mode here actually refers to the dash. We've got power, which will bias the engine over EV, but uses it in unison, but there's more of a power to the engine. You've got eco, which will reverse that and will try and bias to EV, and in fact the car will pull away in electric mode as soon as you hit the throttle in drive. And then there's a standard mode, which will basically just sort itself out for you. There is a dedicated EV mode, but of course it's not designed to do very many miles just on EV. It's literally at no more than 2 to 2.5 miles. But what it's very good at is using when it can drop out into EV, when it's coasting, rolling, and you'll be surprising yourselves just to how much EV you will use over petrol. Unless you sit on a motorway blasting along, of course, doing sort of 10, 12,000 miles a year, which typically our customers wouldn't buy this car for. Coming onto the steering wheel, we've also got controls for audio. You've got telephone preparation, which again is the ability to link directly. You've also got a voice command function, which when you're looking at Android or Apple, also operates Siri or OK Google. Automatic lights, they come on when it's dark, and the same with the wipers, they'll wipe when it's raining. And the severity of the wiping will determine by how heavy the rain is. We mentioned all this before, but this is all your safety functions, lane departure, speed limiter, etc. And yeah, coming back down really, the final parts. So we have a nice amount of storage just in cup holders here. We also have a storage area, just a lidded cubby, which is available there. Big glove box, but in this instance carrying the book pack and some locking wheel nuts, and just a really nicely dressed out car with a dark headlining. Again, everything's pristine and unmarked, with only 263 miles at the time the video was made. So there you have it, a Mazda 2 hybrid Homura. One owner, but 283 miles. The owner is in fact TW White & Sons, so this vehicle will be available shortly for sale. And you can obviously purchase this car using our current finance campaigns, which we're happy to help with, or you could part exchange a vehicle into us against this car. So either or, happy to help with both inquiry types. Thank you very much.